He hadn't spoken in days. No records. No ID. But the moment she touched his wound, he sat up, eyes locked on hers, and saluted with trembling hands. "Ma'am." She knelt beside the makeshift cot adjusting her medical kit, her hands moving with practiced efficiency while the captured insurgent lay motionless under heavy sedation administered by anesthesiologists whose expertise had been required to manage his severe psychological trauma and physical injuries sustained during the violent firefight that had preceded his capture. The other medical personnel worked systematically through the detention facility's improvised hospital ward, their attention focused on treating wounded prisoners according to Geneva Convention requirements that govern medical care for enemy combatants, while maintaining detailed documentation procedures that satisfied international humanitarian law and military legal requirements. But 48 hours of intensive interrogation attempts conducted by specialized personnel trained in advanced psychological questioning techniques had yielded absolutely nothing from the unidentified fighter whose capture during the pre-dawn Kandahar raid had produced no actionable intelligence value despite sophisticated questioning methods employed by Defense Intelligence Agency specialists and FBI counterterrorism experts. Navy Hospital Corpsman Second-Class Maria Santos approached the silent prisoner with routine medical supplies and wound care equipment, completely unaware that her proximity would trigger deeply buried recognition patterns and traumatic memories of a classified mountain rescue operation conducted 18 months earlier in the treacherous terrain of Afghanistan's Hindu Kush Mountains, where her emergency medical intervention had saved multiple lives under impossible conditions. From which forward operating base around the world are you following this critical medical operation today? If you're fascinated by stories that explore the unexpected connections between military personnel and the lasting impact of battlefield medicine on both American forces and enemy combatants, consider following for more content that examines the profound human relationships formed in the crucible of combat medical care, where professional ethics transcend political boundaries and demonstrate the universal nature of medical compassion. The Joint Detention Facility Bravo occupied 12 heavily fortified acres within the expanded security perimeter of Forward Operating Base Thunder, its comprehensive medical treatment capabilities representing millions of dollars in specialized equipment and advanced medical technology designed to provide world-class health care for captured enemy personnel while maintaining stringent security protocols that prevented escape attempts, intelligence compromise, or violation of international humanitarian standards governing treatment of prisoners of war. The facility served dual purposes as both humanitarian medical center and sophisticated intelligence gathering location, where wounded prisoners received medical treatment that exceeded standards available in many civilian hospitals, while trained interrogators and intelligence analysts attempted to extract critical operational intelligence that could save American lives and disrupt enemy operations throughout the volatile regional theater of operations. The medical wing's extraordinarily sophisticated infrastructure included multiple fully equipped surgical suites with advanced life support capabilities, intensive care units with state-of-the-art monitoring equipment, pharmaceutical storage facilities that maintained controlled substances under strict security protocols, and diagnostic laboratories equipped with digital imaging systems, blood analysis equipment, and pathology capabilities that enabled comprehensive treatment of complex trauma cases while maintaining detailed medical records for legal documentation and humanitarian oversight by international monitoring organizations, including the International Committee of the Red Cross and United Nations Human Rights Observers. Hospital Corpsman Second-Class Maria Santos emerged from the secure pharmacy, carrying carefully controlled medications and specialized surgical supplies, her top-secret security clearance providing authorized access to restricted medical materials that required meticulous documentation and accounting procedures designed to prevent diversion, misuse, or compromise of sensitive medical capabilities that might provide intelligence value to enemy forces. The extensive clearance process for medical personnel handling controlled substances and classified medical equipment had required comprehensive background investigation, psychological evaluation, and ongoing security monitoring. Though these standard procedures had failed to capture the full extent of her exceptional combat medical experience and highly specialized training in forward deployment emergency medicine acquired through classified special operations assignments. At 26 years old, she possessed advanced trauma surgery training from the Navy's elite Special Operations Medical Course, having completed intensive instruction in battlefield surgery techniques, emergency medicine protocols, advanced life support procedures, and survival medicine before her current assignment to conventional medical duties at detention facilities where her extraordinary skills were being underutilized for routine prisoner medical care. Her official service record documented standard Navy medical education and routine performance evaluations that satisfied administrative requirements. Though these sanitized records deliberately concealed exceptional capabilities in combat medicine that had been proven during highly classified operations where her expertise had saved lives under conditions that would have overwhelmed less experienced medical personnel. Her extensive medical background included 8 months operating as the primary trauma specialist for Navy SEAL Team 6 reconnaissance operations, during which time she had developed revolutionary techniques for treating severe combat injuries with minimal equipment while operating in hostile territory beyond conventional medical support networks where traditional evacuation procedures were impossible due to enemy activity and terrain limitations. The advanced skills she had acquired through special operations medicine provided sophisticated understanding of combat trauma, emergency surgery, and life-saving techniques that far exceeded anything available through standard Navy medical training programs or civilian medical education institutions. The decision to accept assignment to detention facility medical operations rather than continue prestigious special operations support had been influenced by complex personal factors and institutional needs that required experienced trauma specialists in humanitarian medical roles where their exceptional expertise could benefit wounded prisoners while maintaining strict operational security regarding classified medical capabilities and techniques that could not be disclosed to international monitoring organizations or legal oversight personnel who lacked appropriate security clearances. Commander Patricia Wilson supervised the morning medical rounds with commanding authority gained through 22 years of distinguished Navy medical experience. Her leadership style reflecting extensive combat deployment history and emergency medicine responsibilities that had shaped her comprehensive understanding of military medical requirements in contemporary warfare environments where medical personnel faced unprecedented challenges treating both friendly and enemy casualties under conditions that tested every aspect of medical training and professional ethics. Her board certification in emergency medicine, trauma surgery qualifications, and advanced life support instructor credentials testified to exceptional clinical capabilities that complemented her complex administrative responsibilities for managing sophisticated medical operations under challenging security conditions that required constant balancing of humanitarian obligations with operational security requirements. The commander's distinguished medical career had encompassed both shipboard medicine aboard aircraft carriers and destroyers deployed to hostile waters, and shore-based trauma centers, including classified assignments that involved treating special operations personnel and managing medical aspects of sensitive military operations that remained beyond normal Navy medical command structures due to their classified nature and strategic importance. Her professional evolution from hands-on clinical practitioner to senior medical administrator had been facilitated by institutional recognition that contemporary military medicine required sophisticated management capabilities that could effectively coordinate medical resources across multiple operational requirements and security classifications while maintaining the highest standards of medical care and professional ethics. Around the medical planning station sat distinguished representatives from Navy Medical Corps Headquarters, Army Medical Command Strategic Planning Division, Defense Intelligence Agency Medical Division, Joint Special Operations Medical Command, and International Committee of the Red Cross Humanitarian Monitoring Section, each contributing highly specialized medical expertise to the comprehensive treatment protocols that ensured wounded prisoners received appropriate medical care while maintaining stringent security requirements and legitimate intelligence gathering opportunities that served critical operational needs without violating international humanitarian law or medical ethics principles. Lieutenant Colonel David Chong, the facility medical director responsible for comprehensive treatment protocols and prisoner medical assessment procedures, possessed 15 years of exceptional experience in military emergency medicine, and held multiple security clearances that provided authorized access to classified medical intelligence regarding enemy medical capabilities, biological warfare threats, and chemical weapons exposure protocols that influence treatment procedures and protective measures for medical personnel who might encounter unconventional threats during prisoner treatment operations. Lieutenant Colonel Chang's unique expertise effectively bridged the critical gap between clinical medicine and operational intelligence analysis, translating complex enemy medical intelligence into practical treatment approaches that protected American medical personnel while providing optimal care for wounded prisoners whose medical conditions might provide valuable insight into enemy capabilities, operational methods, and strategic intentions that could inform broader intelligence assessments and operational planning decisions. The highly skilled medical team under Chang's supervision represented carefully selected specialists recruited from leading medical schools, prestigious civilian hospitals, and advanced military medical institutions, each bringing unique clinical capabilities and specialized knowledge to the extraordinarily complex challenge of providing compassionate, professional medical care while maintaining appropriate security awareness and supporting legitimate intelligence collection opportunities that characterized military medical operations in combat environments where every aspect of prisoner interaction potentially carried intelligence value. Captain Rebecca Martinez, the dedicated security liaison responsible for comprehensive medical facility protection and sophisticated prisoner management during all treatment procedures, possessed extensive experience in detention operations and prisoner handling methodologies developed through multiple high-risk deployments in dangerous environments where security threats constantly evolved and required adaptive responses. Her comprehensive understanding of detention security encompassed both conventional prisoner management techniques and highly specialized protocols for handling high-value detainees whose medical treatment required enhanced security measures, continuous monitoring, and intelligence oversight that balanced humanitarian obligations with operational security requirements. The security coordinator's specialized background included advanced training in prisoner psychology, escape prevention techniques, behavioral analysis, threat assessment, and medical security procedures that enabled safe, effective medical treatment without compromising facility security or creating opportunities for intelligence compromise, escape attempts, or manipulation efforts that could endanger medical personnel and operational security while potentially providing enemy forces with valuable information about American capabilities and procedures. Master Chief Hospital Corpsman Robert Kim, the senior enlisted medical advisor whose 28 years of Navy medical experience included multiple combat deployments and specialized assignments, provided essential expertise in combat trauma treatment, battlefield medicine, and the unique psychological challenges associated with treating enemy wounded who might harbor continuing hostility toward American forces despite receiving life-saving medical care from the same military personnel they had been attempting to kill in combat situations. His extensive experience included deployments to every major conflict zone where American forces had operated during the past 2 decades, providing him with unparalleled understanding of combat medicine, cross-cultural medical communication, and the complex psychological dynamics that characterized medical treatment of enemy combatants who found themselves dependent on American medical expertise for survival while maintaining their ideological opposition to American military presence and strategic objectives. Petty Officer First Class Jennifer Walsh, the experienced medical technician whose specialized training in trauma surgery assistance and emergency medicine procedures made her an invaluable member of the medical team, had completed advanced courses in combat medicine, prisoner medical assessment, and cross-cultural communication techniques that enabled effective medical treatment despite language barriers and cultural differences that often complicated diagnosis and treatment of enemy wounded, who might be reluctant to cooperate with American medical personnel. Her technical expertise included proficiency with advanced medical equipment, pharmaceutical management, surgical assistance, and patient monitoring systems that enabled comprehensive medical care under security constraints that limited traditional patient interaction and medical assessment techniques normally employed in civilian medical environments, where patient cooperation and communication were assumed rather than carefully negotiated under security protocols. Medical staff, This morning's comprehensive rounds include detailed assessment of 7 wounded prisoners requiring various levels of medical intervention, ranging from routine wound care and medication administration to complex surgical follow-up and intensive care monitoring. Commander Wilson announced with clinical authority that characterized professional medical instruction delivered under operational conditions where medical care must be provided within security frameworks that protected both patients and medical personnel. Treatment protocols require strict adherence to Geneva Convention standards while maintaining appropriate security awareness and comprehensive documentation procedures for legal compliance and potential intelligence purposes. Her detailed briefing reflected the extraordinarily sophisticated balance required in military medical operations conducted in detention environments, where humanitarian medical care must be provided within strict security frameworks that protected both patients and medical personnel while serving legitimate intelligence gathering requirements that could potentially save American lives through operational information obtained during medical treatment interactions that remained within ethical boundaries and legal requirements. The current patient census represented typical detention facility medical challenges that included severe combat trauma requiring ongoing surgical intervention, infectious diseases that demanded isolation protocols and specialized treatment, psychological conditions that required psychiatric assessment and medication management, and chronic medical conditions that complicated treatment planning and required long-term medical management under security constraints that limited traditional medical approaches and patient interaction procedures. Medical complexity was significantly compounded by security requirements that restricted patient movement and communication, language barriers that complicated diagnosis and treatment compliance, cultural differences that affected patient cooperation and medical interaction, and intelligence collection requirements that had to be balanced against medical ethics and patient confidentiality obligations that governed professional medical practice even in detention environments. All medical procedures require continuous security escort and comprehensive monitoring, with specific protocols for handling medical emergencies that might create security vulnerabilities or provide opportunities for escape attempts or intelligence gathering by enemy personnel. Captain Martinez explained with systematic precision, her instruction reflecting careful development of medical security procedures that balance treatment requirements with facility protection obligations. Medical personnel must maintain constant situational awareness while providing compassionate, professional care that meets international humanitarian standards and demonstrates American commitment to medical ethics and human dignity. Her comprehensive explanation highlighted the dual responsibilities of medical personnel who must provide professional medical care according to established medical ethics, while operating within security environments that posed unique challenges for traditional medical practice, patient interaction procedures, and therapeutic relationships that normally characterized effective medical treatment in civilian environments where security concerns did not complicate every aspect of medical care delivery. Santos positioned herself strategically among the medical team while maintaining heightened awareness of prisoner behavior patterns, security protocols, and emergency procedures that governed all medical interaction with enemy combatants whose cooperation was essential for effective medical treatment, but whose potential hostility and possible deception attempts required constant vigilance and protective measures that ensured medical personnel safety without compromising quality of medical care or humanitarian treatment standards. The detention environment's comprehensive medical protocols included extensive screening procedures designed to identify security threats and medical deception attempts, isolation techniques that prevented communication between prisoners while enabling necessary medical treatment, and specialized treatment approaches that addressed both medical needs and security concerns while ensuring that wounded prisoners received appropriate care regardless of their combatant status, intelligence value, or cooperation level with American personnel. The facility's advanced medical monitoring capabilities included continuous electronic surveillance systems that recorded all medical interactions for security assessment and legal documentation, sophisticated behavioral analysis equipment that identified unusual prisoner responses or potential deception attempts, and comprehensive communication monitoring that ensured all medical conversations were recorded and analyzed for both security implications and potential intelligence value that might inform broader operational assessments and strategic planning decisions. Santos approached the unconscious prisoner carrying standard wound care supplies, advanced monitoring equipment, and detailed documentation materials. Her extensive medical training enabling accurate assessment of injury severity and treatment requirements, while her specialized security training maintained appropriate caution regarding potential threats, deception attempts, or manipulation efforts that characterized interactions with enemy combatants whose true intentions and capabilities remained unknown despite extensive interrogation efforts and intelligence analysis. The prisoner's complex medical condition reflected severe combat trauma that had been initially stabilized through advanced battlefield medicine provided by special operations medics before his transportation to the detention facility for continued treatment, comprehensive medical assessment, and intelligence evaluation that might provide valuable insights into enemy capabilities, training methods, and operational procedures based on his injuries, equipment, and medical treatment history. His extensive injuries included multiple penetrating chest wounds that had required emergency surgery to repair damaged lung tissue and control internal bleeding, numerous fragment injuries from explosive devices that had embedded metal shrapnel throughout his torso and extremities, and clear evidence of prolonged exposure to combat stress that suggested extensive battlefield experience and possible special operations background that exceeded typical insurgent fighter capabilities and training levels. The patient's persistent unresponsive state had continued for 48 hours despite aggressive medical intervention and sophisticated pharmaceutical management, his complex condition being complicated by apparent severe psychological trauma that appeared to exceed his physical injuries and suggested traumatic experiences that had produced deep psychological damage requiring specialized psychiatric assessment and treatment approaches that addressed both medical symptoms and underlying psychological issues. Santos began comprehensive routine wound assessment and bandage replacement procedures while continuously monitoring the prisoner's vital signs, neurological responses, and behavioral indicators for any changes that might indicate improvement or deterioration in his medical condition, complications requiring immediate intervention, or signs of deception that might indicate his unresponsive state was voluntary rather than medical in nature. Her extensive combat medical experience enabled recognition of specific injury patterns and trauma indicators that provided valuable insight into the circumstances of his capture, the nature of the combat engagement that had produced his injuries, and possible intelligence value based on the sophistication of his equipment and the professional nature of his combat injuries that suggested military training exceeding typical insurgent capabilities. The detailed medical examination revealed distinctive healing patterns and surgical intervention evidence that clearly indicated previous medical treatment by sophisticated, well-trained medical personnel using advanced techniques and equipment, suggesting the prisoner's background included access to high-quality medical care that significantly exceeded typical insurgent medical capabilities and indicated possible foreign military training, support, or affiliation with professional military organizations rather than local insurgent groups. As Santos carefully adjusted the complex chest wound dressing, her hands made direct physical contact with distinctive surgical scarring that immediately triggered powerful recognition responses from the semi-conscious prisoner, whose deeply buried traumatic memories suddenly connected current medical care with previous life-saving treatment received under extreme combat conditions that had created lasting psychological impressions despite his attempts to suppress those memories through psychological defense mechanisms. The tactile sensation of professional, compassionate medical care penetrated his carefully constructed psychological defenses and activated deeply suppressed memory patterns that had been deliberately buried through trauma and pharmaceutical intervention, suddenly flooding his consciousness with vivid recollections of previous American medical treatment that had saved his life under circumstances that had created profound gratitude and respect for American medical personnel despite his political opposition to American military presence. The prisoner's eyes opened suddenly with sharp focus and immediate recognition that indicated complete awareness and cognitive function despite his previous convincingly unresponsive behavior. His facial expression shifting dramatically from apparent unconsciousness to immediate understanding as he processed the medical care being provided and recognized the specific individual treating his wounds as someone who had previously saved his life under extraordinary circumstances. Instead of displaying expected hostility, resistance, or fear typical of captured enemy combatants receiving medical treatment from American personnel, the prisoner demonstrated completely unexpected respect, recognition, and gratitude that suggested previous positive interaction with American medical personnel during circumstances that had created lasting appreciation and professional recognition rather than the enmity and hostility that normally characterized relationships between enemy combatants and American forces. With tremendous physical effort that overcame obvious weakness, pain, and medical limitations that made any movement extremely difficult and potentially dangerous to his recovery, the prisoner struggled to achieve sitting position while maintaining intense eye contact with Santos. His movements deliberate and purposeful despite severe physical constraints that demonstrated the importance he placed on acknowledging her presence and expressing his recognition and gratitude. The prisoner's dramatic behavioral transformation from completely unresponsive hostility to focused recognition and respect created immediate attention and concern from security personnel and medical staff who had never observed such extraordinary change in prisoner behavior, particularly responses that suggested positive recognition and gratitude rather than the typical fear, aggression, or manipulation attempts that characterized wounded enemy combatants receiving medical treatment from American personnel. "Ma'am." The prisoner spoke clearly and carefully. Pronounced, accented English while rendering a precise, respectful military salute despite obviously trembling hands and severe physical weakness that made the gesture extremely difficult and physically demanding. His formal military courtesy conveying unmistakable respect and recognition that transcended cultural boundaries, political differences, and military conflict between opposing forces. The formal military courtesy and respectful address displayed by the prisoner created immediate, profound transformation in how all medical personnel viewed his background, status, and previous military experience, understanding that his behavior clearly indicated professional military training, discipline, and possible previous interaction with American forces under circumstances that had created mutual respect and appreciation rather than hostility and enmity. Santos responded instinctively and appropriately to the unexpected military courtesy by returning the salute with equal precision and respect, her immediate reaction demonstrating recognition of genuine professional military behavior that transcended enemy status and reflected shared understanding of military honor, medical ethics, and professional relationships that characterized interactions between military medical personnel and wounded soldiers regardless of their political affiliations or military objectives. The remarkable exchange of formal military courtesy between American medic and enemy prisoner created an extraordinarily profound moment of human connection that clearly illustrated the universal nature of military professionalism, medical ethics, and mutual respect that existed beyond political conflict, cultural differences, and military opposition when professional competence and humanitarian medical care created bonds that transcended warfare and political boundaries. "You saved my life during the mountain rescue operation 18 months ago," the prisoner continued in careful, precisely articulated English, his emotionally charged statement providing essential context for his recognition and obvious respect, while revealing previous significant contact with American forces under extraordinary circumstances that had created lasting gratitude, appreciation, and professional recognition rather than the hostility typically associated with enemy combatants. His powerful revelation completely transformed understanding of his background from unknown enemy combatant to previously encountered individual whose life had been saved through exceptional American medical intervention during circumstances that had created deep personal connection transcending political boundaries, military conflict, and cultural differences through demonstrated humanitarian medical care and professional competence under extreme conditions. Commander Wilson approached with obvious professional interest and concern, her extensive medical background enabling immediate recognition that the prisoner's detailed statement indicated previous American medical treatment under operational conditions that suggested complex, extraordinary circumstances involving American personnel and enemy fighters in life-threatening situations requiring immediate humanitarian medical intervention that exceeded normal operational procedures and security protocols. The medical implications of his statement suggested previous medical treatment that had been successful enough to create lasting gratitude and recognition, indicating exceptional medical care provided under conditions that had enabled positive relationship development between American medical personnel and enemy combatants whose lives had been saved through professional medical intervention that demonstrated American humanitarian values and medical competence. Today, the former prisoner serves as a cultural liaison and medical interpreter for American forces operating throughout the regional theater. His unique background and profoundly positive experience with American military medicine enabling effective communication, cultural understanding, and humanitarian cooperation that enhances medical operations and assistance programs, while demonstrating the lasting power of professional medical care to create positive relationships that transcend political boundaries and contribute to peace and mutual understanding between former enemies.